Hi.
We're standing really close together in the very lovely, luxurious backstage area of the Great Escape.
We are.
We've just come straight.
I can't actually focus on you. We're so close.
We're so
I'm
close.
a little alongside you see.
That's good to know. So keep looking a bit harder.
Yeah. But
So
just keep looking up.
We've just come from the Vote for Music session where we talked about those results. So 4 issues that came through in the vote. So music education, tax relief, funding for the grassroots music scene, and agent change.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot and just get you to give me a little bit of response to whether it's a surprise to see those in there maybe, or...
It doesn't feel like a huge surprise because when you look at, say, the agent of change policy, that the press around venues, there was one in Bristol just recently.
Oh, the clothes.
The clothes.
Yeah,
I cannot remember what it's called.
No, I can't
Somewhere I've
remember.
played like 10 times,
Yeah.
I can't remember. But it made it in the echo chamber that is Twitter, it spread, and it is unfair that a venue get punished by a developer. You know, the story of Oxford Academy, they've had to spend millions on one person buying a house next door to them and then punishing for it. There was plans of like knocking down part of their building and rebuilding it, so there was a gap between the two buildings. I think they ended up having to buy the house off her for a greatly inflated price, which isn't fair. You know, if I bought my house next to sewage works, I then can't complain about the smell. You know, it's just it's kind of things like that are important, and they react to the music industry because humans are full of this thing called common sense, and you wouldn't go next to a slurry pit and be upset about it.
What about the tax issue, the tax relief, tax break issue that came through? We were talking about that earlier.
It's interesting. For me, I don't like it when people who already get a more flexible version of the tax system talk about tax breaks, because obviously when I was a vinyl buyer at HMV, I paid the same tax as everyone else. Now I'm a musician, a DJ. When I buy vinyl, that comes, because that's part of my job, that comes off my tax. But when I was a vinyl buyer at HMV, that was part of my job. So I'm always I'm grateful for the fact that the tax system for self-employed people is more generous. Not more generous, it's just more helpful. So, but when it comes down to it, there is the tax system doesn't help musicians when they're starting out. You know, and there was a point raised about maybe looking at taxing new musicians or new music ventures, whether that be a brand new venue or a new studio, instead of taxing them year on year, do it over 5 years, give them a chance to grow before we start pulling them apart. So that would definitely be a huge help. And VAT needs to just not exist, because it is the most ridiculous tax on working people. That's the only people it hurts. So you pay your VAT, and the company, it goes up to a company, and then they charge the VAT to someone else, and eventually it all comes back off the government. It doesn't make any sense as a tax. It's just a way of the government re-taxing your salary without, saying, well, this company paid this much VAT, which they claim back this amount, so.
And music education was in there as well. I don't know, a call for music to be back on the curriculum. What do you think about that?
Music education, music needs to be on the curriculum. The national curriculum, like secondary school curriculum, isn't actually the bit where I want to see it. I want to see music taught in infant schools. Like, give young people, very young people, infants in fact, the opportunity to fall in love with music. And then by the time they get to secondary school, they can opt in. As long as there's an option to do music, every school should have some form of music department. Like, giving people that passion early on, then it will come back onto the curriculum, because there'll be so much demand from people coming through when they're 11 going, no, I want to play. And to be honest, it might not just help the popular music industry, it might help the orchestral music industry, because it is an industry that he's struggling so hard because it's such an expensive thing to do to put an orchestra together, yet it's not attractive to be, I don't want to grow up and be second cellist. But if you picked up a cello at 5 and fell in love with it, you'd be happy to be third string in the National Philharmonic. But, so education would help more than just kind of